Ethan stepped off the shuttle and onto the platform of Sci-Fi Academy, a towering structure that gleamed like polished crystal under the twin suns of the Vedra system. The air hummed with energy, a faint vibration that seemed to resonate through the soles of his shoes. He paused for a moment, taking in the sight. Countless students of strange and magnificent appearances moved through the halls, their forms and colors unlike anything he had ever seen on Earth. Wings of iridescent scales, shimmering fur, translucent skin, and eyes that glowed in every imaginable color crowded the corridors. The academy was alive, and Ethan felt as small as a grain of sand in a vast desert. Despite the awe, he held his head high. Humans were rare in the galaxy, often regarded as weak or primitive, but he carried a quiet determination. Earth had always been underestimated, yet it was home to ingenuity, resilience, and a resourcefulness that had allowed humans to survive challenges that would have overwhelmed many species. Ethan's mind, trained in observation and adaptability, was his greatest weapon. "Ethan, over here," called a friendly voice. He turned to see a fellow human student, Myra, waving from a corner. Her uniform, identical to the alien student's attire, seemed ill-fitting on her smaller frame, but she smiled confidently. "Don't worry about them. You'll get used to it." In the vast universe, humans were considered fragile and predictable, and the aliens of Sci-Fi Academy had a reputation for being quick to mock those who did not immediately meet their standards. It did not take long for Ethan to meet Lyria. She appeared suddenly as he passed through the central atrium, her eyes narrowing at him in an expression that mixed amusement and disdain. Her hair shimmered with a color that shifted from violet to blue depending on the angle of light, and her skin had a faint metallic sheen. She was beautiful in a way that commanded attention, but there was no warmth in her gaze. "Well, well," Lyria said, her voice melodic but edged with derision. "Another human. I didn't think Earth would produce one brave or foolish enough to enroll here." She crossed her arms, her eyes glinting with mockery. "Tell me, what can a human possibly do among the gifted of the galaxy? And to prove myself in my own way." In the classroom, Ethan struggled to keep up with alien students who could manipulate elements, perceive multiple dimensions, or compute complex equations in seconds with their minds. During physical training, he often lagged behind, his human body unadapted to some of the more extreme simulations. The alien students whispered and snickered as he stumbled or failed, their confidence only growing with each minor misstep. But Ethan observed. He noticed patterns that the aliens overlooked, habits that gave them blind spots, and rules they took for granted. While his classmates relied on abilities that were natural to them, Ethan's human mind analyzed and improvised. He kept detailed notes, tested ideas quietly, and learned from mistakes, turning failure into a stepping stone. One afternoon, as the students gathered for a new challenge, the headmaster announced a simulation that had become a tradition at the academy, navigating the treacherous asteroid fields of the Vedra system. The simulation would test every skill the students possessed: intelligence, agility, adaptability, and problem-solving under pressure. Lyria's eyes sparkled as she addressed her friends. "Watch this human. He won't survive the first obstacle. It will be amusing." He had prepared for challenges like this since the day he left Earth, using simulations and mental exercises to train his mind to adapt. Physical strength alone was not enough to survive in the galaxy. Creativity, quick thinking, and observation could overcome even the most powerful abilities. When the simulation began, students entered virtual pods that projected them into the asteroid field. The environment was disorienting. Swirling rocks, fluctuating gravity, and shifting energy fields created a chaos that required both skill and intuition. Lyria immediately soared ahead, her alien abilities allowing her to glide effortlessly through the obstacles, bending light around her and reacting with near-perfect precision. Other students followed suit, their powers making them appear untouchable. Ethan, on the other hand, struggled initially, bumping against asteroids and nearly being flung off course. But then he paused. He observed the field, noting how the asteroids moved in predictable patterns, how energy currents shifted, and where the gaps were safest. Using only the control panel of his pod and his human understanding of physics, he adjusted his trajectory in ways the aliens did not expect. He exploited gravitational slingshots, timed his movements to avoid collisions, and even used asteroids as cover to block energy pulses from rival students. Step by step, Ethan progressed through the simulation. Where others relied on instinct, he relied on calculation. Where others depended on innate ability, he relied on strategy. Slowly, the distance between him and the leading students closed. From her vantage point, Lyria's amusement turned to surprise. She had underestimated him, assuming that humans could never match alien skill. Yet here he was, navigating the field with an ingenuity that challenged the most advanced abilities in the room. By the final stretch, only Ethan and Lyria remained at the top. She attempted to block his path with a complex series of obstacles, confident that he would falter. But Ethan anticipated her moves, predicting patterns based on observation and logic. He weaved through with precision, finishing the simulation not only without error but with efficiency that surprised even the instructors. The room erupted in applause and chatter. Students who had mocked him now stared with admiration, unable to deny the human's cleverness. Lyria herself was silent, her expression unreadable, a mixture of frustration and curiosity forming on her face. In the days that followed, Ethan's reputation grew. Teachers praised his innovative approaches, and fellow students began to seek his advice. He did not boast, but his quiet confidence and remarkable problem-solving earned him allies among the previously dismissive aliens. Yet Lyria remained a challenge. She tested him constantly, whether in class debates, strategy exercises, or physical trials. Each time Ethan adapted, learning from her tactics, improving and gradually gaining her respect, though she would not admit it aloud. One evening, after a particularly grueling mental challenge, Ethan returned to his dormitory, exhausted but satisfied. Myra approached him, her eyes wide with excitement. "Ethan, the other students can't stop talking about you. Even Lyria seems different around you. She's intrigued, I think. Maybe humans have a future here after all." The next day, Sci-Fi Academy prepared for a special interclass challenge, a combined simulation that would test students' abilities in teamwork, strategy, and adaptability. Ethan knew Lyria would lead a team, confident in her skills, and he prepared to face her once more, not as a naive human, but as a capable competitor who had proven that intelligence and adaptability could rival even the most advanced powers. As he entered the simulation hall, he caught Lyria's eye. There was no mockery now, only a challenge, a silent acknowledgement that the game had changed. And Ethan, for the first time since arriving at Sci-Fi Academy, felt that he was not just surviving, he was beginning to thrive. Little did anyone know his greatest test was yet to come. Beyond the asteroid simulations, beyond the competitions and classroom exercises, lay a challenge that would reveal the true potential of humans, a potential that even the galaxy's most advanced civilizations had underestimated. And somewhere in the depths of the academy, Lyria began to sense it too. The human she had mocked so easily was far from ordinary. The morning sun of Vedra shone brightly over Sci-Fi Academy, casting long, colorful shadows across the crystalline walls. Students hurried through the corridors, preparing for a day that promised excitement, but Ethan's mind was focused. Today was different. He had already proven himself in simulations, earning the admiration of many, but he sensed that the real test was approaching. The Academy's headmaster, an ancient alien with a calm, glowing presence, had announced a final challenge for the term, a complex interstellar strategy trial, one that combined navigation, intellect, and teamwork. Teams of students would be randomly assigned, and only those who demonstrated creativity, adaptability, and leadership would succeed. The prize was not merely recognition. It was a chance to represent Sci-Fi Academy in the upcoming Galactic Scholars Council, a position of prestige that could define a student's future. When the teams were revealed, Ethan felt a jolt of surprise. He was grouped with students who were among the Academy's top performers, including Lyria. Her eyes met his across the hall, a spark of recognition passing between them. The mockery was gone, replaced with quiet determination. She was curious, cautious, and Ethan realized, aware that he might not just keep up, but could lead the team in ways she had never expected. The trial began in the Academy's vast simulation chamber. The walls shifted like liquid crystal, projecting a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Stars, planets, and asteroid fields moved in real time, creating a living, breathing challenge. The team's objective was to secure rare energy crystals scattered across hostile systems, avoid traps, and return to the base station safely. Success required cooperation, strategy, and the ability to think ahead. Lyria immediately took charge, her leadership natural and commanding. She assigned roles based on abilities, telepathic coordination for navigation, elemental manipulation for obstacles, and enhanced reflexes for combat scenarios. Ethan was assigned the role of strategist, though he noticed her skepticism. He would need to demonstrate that human ingenuity could complement even the most advanced powers. As the simulation began, Lyria's team moved swiftly, cutting through asteroid belts and energy storms. But a sudden complication arose. A massive energy wave disrupted the controls of all but one pod. The alien students panicked, relying on instinct, but their powers faltered under the unpredictable conditions. Ethan's mind worked quickly. He analyzed the energy patterns, recalling similar phenomena from Earth's research archives. Using only the control interface and his understanding of physics, he guided the pods through a precise path that neutralized the wave's effect. His teammates, following his directions, were able to regain control, amazed at the humans' calm and calculated approach. Lyria watched in astonishment. "How did you?" she began, but Ethan simply focused on the task at hand. Words were unnecessary. The results spoke for themselves. As they progressed, Ethan noticed subtle weaknesses in the enemy patterns that the aliens had overlooked. While they reacted instinctively, he predicted movements, anticipated obstacles, and devised shortcuts that no one else could see. Step by step, the team gained an advantage, completing objectives faster and with fewer errors than any other group. By the final stage, only Ethan and Lyria's team remained in contention for the top position. They faced the ultimate challenge, a volatile field of collapsing stars and unstable wormholes. One wrong move would end the simulation, and failure was not an option. Lyria's instinct was to use her powers aggressively, creating shields and pushing obstacles aside. But Ethan saw the field differently. He noticed that the wormholes followed subtle gravitational patterns, that the energy pulses from the stars had a rhythm, and that the path through the chaos could be predicted if one moved with precision rather than force. "Trust me," Ethan said calmly. "We can navigate this without using powers. Just follow my lead." The simulation ended, and the chamber erupted in applause. Students cheered, and even the instructors were visibly impressed. Ethan's team had not only completed the challenge, but had done so with efficiency and intelligence that no one expected from a human. After the trial, the headmaster called Ethan to his office. The ancient alien's eyes glowed with approval as he spoke. "Ethan, your performance today has been extraordinary. You have demonstrated qualities that are rare in any species: adaptability, creativity, and the ability to lead even when your peers possess far greater innate abilities. There is something unique about your heritage, is there not?" He nodded, ready to reveal what he had always known but had kept private. "Yes, headmaster. I'm a descendant of a secret line of humans from Earth, humans who were genetically enhanced by Earth's earliest interstellar pioneers. Our lineage was designed to adapt, to think differently, and to survive in ways others cannot. That is why I can understand patterns and predict outcomes that seem impossible to others." She felt a mixture of surprise and admiration. The human she had mocked, the one she assumed would always lag behind, was not ordinary at all. His abilities were subtle, adaptive, and utterly formidable. I underestimated you," Lyria admitted softly. "You're nothing like I imagined. Humans, Earth, there is more in you than I realized. We've always had potential, but few notice it. Most see only what we lack compared to others. But Earth has always thrived on creativity, adaptability, and resilience. Those qualities matter more than raw power in the long run." Lyria, once his critic, became an ally, testing his ideas and challenging him to grow further. Together, they began developing new strategies for interstellar navigation, combining human ingenuity with alien abilities in ways the Academy had never seen before. The revelation of Ethan's heritage also inspired discussions among teachers and students. Humans were no longer merely the primitive species of old. They were capable of innovation that could rival even the most advanced civilizations. Reports of Ethan's accomplishments spread throughout the Academy, and whispers of human potential began to echo in halls far beyond Sci-Fi. In the days that followed, Ethan continued to excel. He led his team through increasingly complex simulations, always finding solutions where others saw dead ends. Lyria's respect deepened, and she began to recognize that humans could teach aliens as much as they could learn. A quiet camaraderie developed between them, grounded in mutual recognition of each other's strengths. One evening, as the twin suns set over Zyphera, painting the sky in hues of violet and gold, Ethan and Lyria stood on the observation deck. Below, the Academy's students moved like ants across the crystalline floors, absorbed in their studies. "You've changed a lot since you arrived," Lyria said, her voice thoughtful. "Not just in skill, but in how everyone sees humans now. You've done something remarkable. Adaptability, intelligence, and resilience can overcome almost anything." For the first time, Lyria felt that humans were not merely a curiosity to be mocked or overlooked. They were a force to be respected, a species with hidden depths that could change the course of the galaxy. In the weeks that followed, Ethan's story became an inspiration across Zyphera Academy. Other human students arrived, emboldened by his success. Aliens began to reconsider their assumptions, recognizing that humans' subtle talents were often underestimated. And Lyria, once proud and arrogant, now worked alongside him, pushing the boundaries of strategy, science, and exploration. The Academy had changed, and so had the galaxy's perception of humanity. The underdog from Earth had demonstrated that strength was not always about power, but about mind, creativity, and courage. And somewhere in the cosmos, humans began to take their place as a species to be reckoned with, not through domination, but through ingenuity, persistence, and the enduring ability to adapt. Ethan's journey was only beginning. The challenges ahead would be greater, the stakes higher, but he had proven one undeniable truth: humans were underestimated at their peril. And now, the galaxy would have to take notice. The stars above seemed to shimmer with possibility, as if acknowledging that a new chapter in galactic history had begun. And at its center stood a human, quiet but brilliant, showing that Earth's children were capable of far more than anyone had ever imagined. And in that moment, Lyria finally smiled without reserve, no longer mocking, no longer doubting. She saw a human not as a primitive species, but as a partner, an equal, and perhaps even a pioneer of the galaxy's future.